just presence, my inner essence, and the essence of everything, which is basically the same way that NT teaches meditation, I feel like. So I feel like the way NT teaches meditation is how I had already been meditating for years before I joined the group. And I made a lot more progress that way and a lot quicker. So I do absolutely believe that that is the best way to meditate.
Like, we started with our the discovery of, the Buddha's discovery of that uneasiness or the disease in everybody's life. And then he discovered that there is a way out of it and then be happy all the time. So we talked about that Four Noble Truths, and then we talked about Eightfold Path, and we were talking about some of those experiences that we share, and then it's come to that real phenomena of that non-self experience that anybody can. I mean, that is the best experience any human can get. So that experience gives you the opening, or they gives you the wisdom about this everything happening around us, even the whole universe. So that wisdom is particularly, the catalogs and then provided in a different ways by Buddha about 2,600 years ago. But in fact, actually, once you get that experience, you can relate to whatever he's talking about, and then we can just relate that and get into the more clarity of your own experience. So with that only, I wrote this book, actually, the book of this inner science. And then I know that really most of you now have read it. So we can share the uh, actual wisdom of what you got from the book, as well as your own experience. And then we can discuss it in between us, and then make sure that really our understanding is clearer, and then it will help us to go into the detail. We discuss that way. The people who are listening to this recording also will get some benefit. I mean, they will get into this particular experience of inner peace or the true happiness, where that you can live blissfully all the time.
I'm going to repeat some things again that I said in our first discussion in, I think, 2014, 2015. I started by just going on the internet and looking up how to meditate. And when you do that, you find, different ways to meditate. They usually focus on a meditation object, like your breath or a picture in your mind or a mantra or a feeling in your body or a sound or whatever. And this is how I started meditating. And I did that for about a year. Then I realized that during the times in my meditation when I let go of these meditation objects, I'm able to drop into a much deeper state of meditative absorption. And so at that point, I decided to drop all meditation objects and I just focused on being, just presence, my inner essence, and the essence of everything, which is basically the same way that NT teaches meditation, I feel like. So I feel like the way NT teaches meditation is how I had already been meditating for years before I joined the group. And I made a lot more progress that way and a lot quicker. So I do absolutely believe that that is the best way to meditate. Um, and I did that very regularly. I meditated 7 days a week, a minimum of 2 hours a day. And I felt like I was making good progress. And after about 2 years of doing that, I had what I would call a maybe temporary non-self experience that lasted for about 2 weeks, um, where it seemed like all craving and desire and aversion was gone. Maybe it wasn't gone completely because I feel like I've heard NT say that once it's gone, it stays gone, and it did not stay gone. So maybe we can agree that those were severely weakened during that time and then became stronger again. And after 2 weeks, I gradually came back into this world and started identifying with my mind and body again. And um, but I continued my meditation practice, and the craving and the clinginess and the aversion never went back to how strong it was before I had that non-self experience. It was a big difference, and it stayed that way for years. Um, And back then, I didn't know anything about Buddhism. I had never heard of the Eightfold Path, but now that I heard about it from NT and read about it in his book, I recognize it, and I do believe that during that time I was on the Eightfold Path, maybe not intentionally, but intuitively. These are all things that I was actively focusing on, even though I didn't know that was a thing in Buddhism. And I do think that is really important because I do think it really helped helped me progress on my spiritual path. And then yeah, I felt like over the years, the more I meditated, um, the weaker some of the lower fetters became again. And then in 2019, I met a person that I would call very unconscious. And by that, I don't mean just somebody who is not on a spiritual journey, but one of those people who do not have a conscience or empathy, don't care for the rights of others. Um, that was not clear at the beginning, of course. But I stayed with them for multiple years. And then ultimately, at the end, some varying. Um, but I stayed with them for multiple years, and I feel like their unconsciousness kind of rubbed off on me a little bit and deterred me from the Eightfold Path and slowly made me abandon my meditation practice more and more until 3 years in, I was barely meditating anymore. And when I fell off of that path, um, I went backwards. I feel like I got a lot more bothered by everything that happened in my life again. I had a lot more cravings. I was taking everything much more seriously again. Um, and I think that this is ultimately why what ended up happening with this person affected me so greatly. If I had just stayed on the path, um, and if I had not abandoned my practice, it probably would not have affected me nearly as much. Um, so I think that it's what I've learned from this is number one, I think it's important um, to focus on the Eightfold Path, and that you cannot just assume that because you've made a certain amount of progress that it's going to stay that way. You can fall off and go backwards, at least temporarily. And I think it is also important what kind of people you surround yourself with. Because I feel like another good example is our Thursday meditation group. This is just the other side of the coin, right? So when I go to our meditation group, I don't meditation instruction because I already meditated like this before I found the group. I don't feel I necessarily need to hear the instruction, and I usually just tune it out, although both NT and Alex do a fantastic job. But I don't think I need to go there because I need to hear this. I go there because it seems to me that when I meditate with the people in the group, even though I'm not paying attention to the instruction, it feels easier. Um, it feels easier to drop into a deeper state of meditative absorption than it does when I'm at home by myself. So, therefore, I'm concluding it seems to make a difference who you surround yourself with, and that maybe the collective consciousness of the people around you has some influence on you, either positively or negatively, depending on who you are with.
Very
Um,
good.
and also, it seems that even if you do fall off the eightfold path, it seems like the progress you make is not completely lost, but it can temporarily fall asleep. But it's been my experience that you can get it back relatively quickly. So after this whole experience, this traumatic experience, I had completely abandoned my meditation practice until I found this group, and I believe it was in October of last year. And that's when I started a regular where I was before I abandoned my practice. So it seems like the progress I had made.
Very good.
So I have a question for you,
Yeah,
Stephanie. So you said that before this, when you initially had the non-self experience, when it lasted for those couple weeks, you
yeah,
said that you hadn't heard of the Eightfold Path and like the various Buddhist things. Is that what you said, right?
yes.
So then, do you think that if you had heard those prior to that happening, and then you had your non-self experience, and then everything else transpires in the same way, but had those, you had the knowledge of the Eightfold Path and 10 Fetters and all of those kind of things prior to this happening, do you think that you would have been able to stay in that space longer or let go of what happened to you in like faster? Do you get what I'm kind of saying? Like, do you think that the knowledge of the Eightfold Path and the 10 Fetters would have actually made a difference back then, or do you think that finding them now is just as good?
I am not sure. Maybe if I had known about them, maybe I would have taken it more seriously and I would have never abandoned my practice. Um,
It's not correct.
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
hard to
correct.
say.
Yes, I'll give the
Yeah.
perspective of that. And always, I know I didn't want to give up on you, Stephanie, when you first mentioned about that you had that experience. So that's why I was just trying to, check. I mean, they always communicate with you, and because I can feel, I can see that really you have been, you 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 had this experience even before in the sense before this life. That's why you really more in tune to this. And even I always talked about that some questions you ask about the eightfold path, I can relate to that because you have subconsciously you know that, but you never heard about that this lifetime. But you subconsciously know about that. That is why you're asking. On the very first question you asked was, is this eightfold path is just like a sequential thing, or whether it can be taken off from any other? So that gives me the indication. what I was saying is that really I realized that really at the very first day when you talked about this experience, and then you said that really I didn't have anybody to talk about because anybody who's meditating. So because when I talked to that with my friends, they were laughing and they were asking me the question of whether you have taken any LSD or something like that. And that day onward, I knew that really you
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that yeah. On that day onward, I knew that really you have that experience, or you had that experience even before your this lifetime. That's all. That's that, and then it's more confirmed when you ask the question, when we are talking about that eightfold path. You ask the questions of saying that really is that a kind of a one sequential thing, or whether it can be start from anywhere else kind of a thing. Then that gives me the understanding that really, yes, you have seen this before as well. That's why you have that inclination to see that something, this can be this way, that way. So all that is kind of my intuition. Just always comes and see people in that way. The question that Alex asked about whether it would have been different if you knew about this eightfold path beforehand, and then your answer was not yes, because you didn't really connect with that kind of a practice, because it is it's that's how it goes, because although it is within you at an inner essence, it's dormant. But what you knew is dormant in this lifetime, because that has to trigger back and then bring it up. So that is why you are with now. You know that really, for sure you know that now. That's why you are explaining it as well. So at the end on your discussion, you said that really it is you feel that really it's very helpful to have people around you who talked about these things. And then the word is that really Kalyana Mitra. That's what I titled this group as Kalyana Mitra. Kalyana means actually kind of a noble, or in the sense that really this kind of a discussion, this kind of a experience that really they who had that experience and they are sharing that experience with others. So the Mitra means actually the friends. So that is why I call this whole group as noble friends, because the word English translation for that Kalyana means actually noble. I don't know if the translation is right or wrong, but anyway, that's how I'm going with that same translation. So in the sense that you're perfectly right that really we need to have that kind of a friendships, or that kind of environment that really you have to engage with. So that will give you the refinish, the uh, more encouragement and more feeding that really you can be in the path and then complete that whole thing, and then you can be in that blissful state that you experience forever, kind of. So that is the whole process of this. Very good. I'm very glad that you're now really in tune with that, and hopefully uh, even that whatever we are talking about would have helped you. And at the same time, actually, as I said, this kind of a discussion is very helpful for all of us. And so that is the process I was describing on the end of the book as well, because I know that really this comes like that way, and then all these fetters need to be go away. The other point that you mentioned was that really some of those fetters were down and then it's again came up. That is the really outcome of if you don't associate with people, associate with the Dhamma. Actually, I wouldn't say people even, because I always talk about, although we are talking about, although I'm NT and of course Alex, but you are really associating with the content of what we are talking about, which is the Dhamma. Dhamma in the sense that really the direct translation is the condition of this whole nature, but when you talk about Dhamma, it has a little hidden meaning of that. It say the whole existence is Dhamma, what is in there. But when you get to know about that Dhamma, you need to be away from that whole existence. So that is what we are talking about is the normal condition around us. But once you really realize it, experience it, you are out of those conditions. So the whole discussion, whole content, we call Dham. That is how it goes. So that word has been now commonly used everywhere, but in a different person context. But I want to make sure that we are using that word to make sure that really it is about the content what we are discussing right now. Very good. And any questions
Yeah.
or anything? Go ahead.
I just want to say that this group has helped me tremendously, and I'm very grateful for you taking the time to be with us and explain all of this to us.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure, actually. That's, you all know that really it's coming from my, kind of aspiration. And actually, very rarely we find people who want to listen to this kind of, the truth. So that is why I'm glad that really I'm with you all as well, because it has some purpose, and then everybody's getting some results. Very good. Thank you for your compliment. Of course, it's not for me. It's for the Dham. But I'm of course taking that initiative, of course.
I'm really interested in the rebirth thing, and there was a few things in the book and I've heard it before, I think, the specific number of, like, you're gonna have 7 rebirths if you're
Mhm.
a stream winner, I think.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you can have up to 7, I think. I'm curious how he got to the number 7, and then just the concept of rebirth and
Okay.
Buddhism as in general is a bit confusing to me, because like the foundational thing for me is this oneness, everyone is one. But then the way reincarnation or rebirth is talked about is like it almost sounds like there are multiple discrete souls that are like being reborn into like a second, third, up to 7th life. And they're carrying this experience of non-self with them between lives. That would mean that there are discrete beings individually being reborn, right? But then I don't understand how that connects with like the concept of the oneness.
Yeah. You did read a whole book, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I do have a section about that dependent origination. Can you remember? Which is that
Yes.
with 12 different links. And so that is where that really if I put it that way, every living being going through that process uh, billions of time in a fraction of a second. That's how the wisdom happening. That is how it's happening. And then it's not only the living being, but it's on even any other material things around us. That's happening too. But this kind of a vision or this kind of a experience and real essence come through only when you are really outside of this existence. So it is kind of an ultimate thing that really what you are talking about, all this going through the whole process and all that. But when you talk about this rebirth and reincarnation, that you are still figuring out that because of as you. So that's how you can perceive only that, right? I'm not saying that really you are doing something wrong. I'm just saying that really a different perspective of looking at it. And when people are talking about oneness, they're talking about this like, the every being, like what you're thinking of as me, are in the ocean for an analogy,
Yeah.
right? So in the ocean,
Right. Yeah.
there are so much of water, right? Go ahead.
Yeah.
This. So
No, yeah, it just the ocean thing makes a lot of sense to me, and I think that's how I'd been thinking of it. And yeah, I
yeah,
don't understand how that links with all the other things.
yeah. So in that ocean, that you are a drop of water, right? So what we are seeing, according to that particular analogy, and then that particular school of thoughts, they are talking about this the people, any of us, are really that individual drop of water, which are really running around out of the ocean and then doing everything. And then one time, if we die or something, we will, or we enlighten, we might go and then join with that ocean again, right? You know that part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how they talk.
Yeah.
But that school of thought is that there. And then when it comes to the Buddha's teaching, and that 7 lifetime is actually a little fraction of that, because that 7 lifetime thing that he was talking about is only for the people who has been a stream winner, has to go through at the most 7 rebirth. That means, like, that Stephanie was talking about. Stephanie was now realized, Stephanie think now, eightfold path need to be, the absorbed or the embrace to continue with this, that to have that marvelous experience all the time. So similarly, that marvelous experience or the phenomena of non-self, which he had this lifetime or even the previous lifetime, we never know. So that is kind of a breaking point, like like it's like a breaking the. I would say that it's like you're putting to the neutral gear of your running vehicle, right? So when you have that kind of a non-self experience for a fraction of a second, what you did was you just actually change your gear into neutral. So the vehicle is still running, right? But it's still in the neutral, but it's not engaged with the speeding, or it doesn't speed up or anything. So it just goes. So that is where that really this 7 rebirth comes, because if you don't do anything, like if now, like Stephanie's experience of, if she indulged with something else and then finally she was just away from it. So then sometimes we have to get to the next birth to realize that. But if you really engage with this eightfold path and then being there, you will finish up it within this lifetime straight away. And then maybe it will pass to another lifetime. That's why that second stage of enlightenment, which is Sappuragami, or the one's return. That because of it goes because of that the degree of the fetters dies down, or the fading away. All the fetters are the cause for our rebirth. So when all the 10 fetters are not there, that rebirth won't happen at that level. So it will dies down. But don't take this as the specific thing, because it's a kind of a indication that we are giving. So we may have a lot of other fetters already accumulated, in the sense that the same 10 fetters at a different degree, very thick, say very condensed level. So those has to be, fade away. You can just, even if you don't do anything, it will fade away because of the profound nature of that your experience of non-self at one stage. That is why he gave that really the kind of a limit of, or the kind of a indication that you may go, at the most, you may go up to about 7 lifetime. Otherwise, it will happen even before that. I just want to give that
no,
part
that makes
for
sense.
that.
I guess like did he say why 7 specifically?
Yeah, it's not really specifically said, but I can see why it was happening, because these first 2, I mean the remaining 7 fetters. Out of those remaining 7 fetters, first 2 are the sensual desire and aversion, kind of. Those things can take time too, because those are very hard, very thick fetters, which comes from all our things what we had been doing all this time. So it takes a long time for that to go away. And it's even, as I said, it depends on the person's effort or the person's effort of, being alone with the, the friends, the noble friends. So a specific 7, I can't give the exact answer why he said it, but I can feel that really that is what's happening because of those. It will take those, like even the car. If we are going at a speed of 100 miles per hour and then put it into neutral, it will take, say, another quarter mile to slow down and stop.
Yeah.
But if you are running the car at 40 miles per hour, and then you put that into neutral gear, it will stop at 500 yards or another 1,000 yards. That's the difference.
But then it's because then it would be that like you're retaining something from life to life. Like that's the same car slowing down over multiple lifetimes, no? Like
Correct?
what's the car? If there's no self, what's the car? How are you carrying this experience with you from life to life? And if there's no discrete souls or discrete selves or discrete
Yeah.
beings, even if that's an illusion, like how is that being carried forward?
Okay, very good. Very good questions. Now, on this simile, that car is just because of we imagine, we took that as a simile of the car, right? As a material form vehicle, physical thing.
Mhm.
But this car is not for us. Our essence is not a physical thing. That you mentioned about, you would have read about that. Really, when I say 10 fetters, it is the composition of our, for the lack of a better word, our soul. So when you, in the conventional way, when you talk about soul, you are not talking about the physical factor, right? It is that really metaphysical nature of it. So that is the one that really rolling all the way, just like the snowball. So once you stop the when you put the neutral gear, this now you take that analogy of the physical nature of the car into that snowball. So that snowball is now in the neutral gear, in the sense it's not that fast for rolling down, because it's rolling a slightest slow down. It slows down. Supposing this snowball was rolling downhill in a steep hill, and then it encountered a very shallow, very low uh, uh, slope, and now it is slowed down, and then now still it's running. It's that snowball is rolling, but now it doesn't have that speed. Because of that, it doesn't have that speed. It doesn't collect any more snow into that, but it will just drop a little by little, just shred them, and then at the very end it just stopped. And is that analogy give little sense for your question, Grace?
So, yeah, but like, are there multiple souls or is it just the one?
Just a one. It's not a soul.
Oh,
It's actually, as I said, that it's not a now. The concept of soul was there even before Buddha was really discovered this whole thing. Because on the different traditions, Hindu tradition specifically and yogic tradition, they call it that really the soul, that person is being reincarnated. They call it reincarnated because that person has the 5 aggregates, in the sense that really 5 things that really which is comprised of this soul. So, but Buddha mentioned that it is not really a solid aggregates. They are actually always being renewed. Because of that, it is called actually aggregation. That's how I mentioned in the book. Because it is it's not a solid thing anymore. It is actually accumulating like the snowball is rolling. It's collecting more snow. So that whatever the reborn, in the sense that really now if you see a kind of a picture of that snowball is rolling all the way with different frame by frame by frame by frame. The one of the frame is that a rebirth life. The way that I'm just trying to explain, the way that you could grasp it. And then the next frame is again another rebirth. So it doesn't mean that really it's the same. You got it?
Yeah, that
Are you
makes
with-
sense.
Yeah.
Like between individual lifetimes, you're not like returning to this non-self experience. It's just continually birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth. There's no like
Yeah. There is
break in
no.
between.
Yeah, that's right. No, that is how all the way, even if you don't have the non-self experience, but it's rolling all the way at a steep downhill speed, 100 miles per hour kind of. So that is why we don't know what is we are doing. Everything is mess up and then chaos everywhere. But once you get this non-self experience, you put that speeding, rolling notion into a neutral gear. But still it's rolling, but slowly, it's rolling, right? And then once it's roll, it will
So
stop because of that slower speed. Go ahead, Chris.
so when someone gets to a point where it's completely stopped, the snowball melts, it no longer exists. That's like that one
Nothing there.
part of the soul returning to the great soul.
Good question. I'm
Like
waiting for that. No.
I struggle with like how are there multiple people who are achieving non-self? Like wouldn't it just be
Yeah.
everyone struggling until one being achieves it and then we all get to be at peace? Does that make
No,
sense?
I understand. Now think about that really. Okay, there's a two part of your question. I'll dismantle it. One thing is about the really when you say that when it stops, it goes away and then it goes to your inclination of it goes to this ocean again, right? And then it's an ocean. Now you are ocean, like you don't know who you are anymore. You can pick the same the drop of water that you have been consuming or you have been as it is from the ocean, because the ocean is mixed up with everybody. So if you try to pick it up your one, you can't find, because it's not a different color or anything. It's all the same, right?
Right.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the one part of discussion, because that is the even on the yogic tradition, that is the kind of enlightenment. That is the kind of enlightenment they were talking about. So that means once that is on the one of the second part of this your question is that really you're thinking as kind of a one person. Now, when you think about that person, you are always connecting with the other person. Okay, me and of course Stephanie, NT, Alex. So what they do? No, in fact, actually, when you think about it very deeply, everything around you are not you. You perceive them. And then whatever the perception is, the one that really you are referring to as the other person, even this whole existence. Because you perceive it, it comes through your eyes, your body and your ears and all that. But you conceptualize, this is empty. Oh, he's talking nonsense or whatever it is, right? That is the concept of it. He's talking some sense too. Okay, that is again a concept. So whatever we could really experience, or we could really understand, or we could actually comprehend, only the thing that really individual that we are perceiving. That's only we can perceive. Now, I know that really some people are talking about billions miles away, there is a black hole. But we never seen that. We never heard about that. We heard about that and we have a concept, okay, black hole could be like this. But that differ from everybody to individual. Now, you feel that black hole would be like a real roll, circle thing. And some might think about, black hole could be like a oval thing. And some people might think that, black hole might be like stars around that Milky Way or something like that. So that is again your perception. So when it's come to the very, very rudimentary thing, what we actually are, our perception. So that is why that I call that dependent origination as the perceiving process. So you perceive it, and then it's only you, not anybody else around you. But don't even, when you're thinking about around you, that means you are just reconceptualizing, yeah, I have these people, I have this thing, I'm in this country and all that thing. That is again your perception, right? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just, as you're explaining this, I'm thinking, when we go to sleep at night and we have a dream, we're in a different world. It's a dream, right? And then we are a person in this dream and we are perceiving things from that person's perspective. And it seems really real and it seems like there are different people and different things going on, but none of that is ultimately real. The entire dream is just coming from our mind or whatever it's coming from. Is this entire universe kind of the same thing? Like, is the entire universe just a dream inside of the one consciousness, and the only thing that exists is one consciousness, and the whole universe is a dream?
Very good question. That is why I like you joining us, and then that's why I said I'm not giving up on you because you are helping me too. I mean, it's a good. There's another analogy people use for this particular explanation, and then you came up with from you. But I don't know whether you heard about it before, but still, it's another analogy to say that this whole
That's just
existence
what it
is a
sounded
dream.
like when you were just explaining that.
Exactly. It is
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. And then you would read, if you read some other books, some people are talking about the same thing, that it's a dream. And then even Buddha has mentioned in one of the sermon, it's a dream because he was talking to the person, actually he was an actor. So for his giving the explanation of a dream, and in the same time he gave the explanation of, you are on the stage and you are acting a character, but once you come down from the stage, you are not the character. Similarly, you are in the dream, and then you perceive everything as your dream, and you are there. It's real, right? Real dream, right? But what happened? You wake up.
That's
After you wake
brilliant.
up, it's gone. So it is the same thing
So,
here too. Go
but
ahead.
then what happens when everyone has awakened? Does the entire universe disappear and the dream is over?
Yes, this is where that really that.
That's
That
crazy.
is where that is crazy, because of our mind is saying it is crazy. And then of course mind is taking us on the crazy path all the
Absolutely
time.
wild.
Yeah. It's because of it's because of your perceiving that way. It is crazy. But for sure, definitely you know that really in that particular way is actually a very blissful state that you already experience. It's not that really you are
Because
thinking
it's
as
actually
me. Go ahead.
like it's crazy. What's really crazy is to be in a dream and be like, it's crazy that the dream will end, like of course the
Yeah,
dream will end.
yeah. Usually these kind of a discussion, sometimes people will take off from this and then having difficulties or understanding it, and even not look at this anymore, because that is what happened to even Eckhart Tolle's book. Sometimes some people read it halfway through and realize what is this nonsense. And then because of that, it's hitting their ego, and then they're thinking, if that is not there, then where am I? Where should I be? I don't want to be that way. That is our mind is talking about, and our mind is keeping us in that enslaved cocoon, and trying to tell you that it's all you have. Kind of, that tadpole is trying to be in the water all the time. I don't want to get out of the water, kind of thing. So that is again that I or me is always there. That is how, when you're perceiving in that lens, you are perceiving that way. That is why you don't want to be that because it is you. But with that
So
fraction of a second, go ahead, Stephanie.
So basically, then the way that you, NT, are perceiving this world right now is basically like a lucid dream, then. Because, sometimes we dream at night and we're unaware that we're dreaming, and the dream seems very serious and it's highly stressful. And then we wake up and we're very stressed out, and then we realize, oh, never mind, this was just a dream. But then other times, or at least me, I don't know if everyone experiences this. Other times we have a lucid dream where we are asleep and we're dreaming, but we're realizing in the dream that we're in a dream, and then it seems less real even in the dream. And it almost seems like you can kind of steer the dream into a certain direction. So it
All
seems
right.
like you're experiencing a lucid dream right now.
Exactly. That is why I was not worried about rerouting my plane to Hawaii,
Yeah,
right? Because it
very
is
cool.
another fact. Oh, that's an enjoyable fact. I know that really. On the other day, Danielle was shaking her head, saying that, oh, what is not? That is the beauty of it. Now think about Stephanie. Now even that elusive dream. How fascinating and how comical this thing happening, like that Tiffany was talking about, right?
Yeah, and this is how I felt during those 2 weeks when I had this experience. Everything seemed less real. I was just walking around. It felt like I was walking around in a video game. And I was looking at other people, and they looked funny to me. Like they were walking around taking
Mm.
everything so seriously, and it seemed funny to me. It
Yeah,
was
that's
sort of like a lucid dream. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And even at that time, if you knew about these kind of the wisdom coming from a much better source, you would have realized, oh, this is what it is, right? It would have kept going.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
interesting to me, though, that some people are on this path and into Buddhism and have never had a non-self experience, because it seems like to me the only reason why I'm open to any of this is because I had this experience. If someone had brought me to your meditation group before I had this experience and I had listened to you and the things you talk about, I would have thought this guy is crazy. What on earth is he talking about? This is nuts. I would have come once and never returned. So it's interesting to me that people are into this before they've had this experience, but I guess good for them.
Yeah, it is. It is the same thing that, as I said to you earlier, that I have people who have come to the session and then never return and all that, because I have a list of 220 people who has been come to the meeting and then gave their email and name and everything, but never returned. Some people have returned. Some people have said
Yeah.
so many different things. There are two reasons for that. One is, of course, the like what you were saying, that really, oh, these guys are not, and then they don't want to come back. That's okay too. But the other reason is that there is some people, I still feel that this Paula, her name is Paula Carlson or something, she has the same experience and she doesn't have to come back again. So she doesn't come anymore. And then she gave the testimony of that really on that very first one day retreat. She was there. I was referring to her most of the time because I saw that really she was sitting and meditating, and then a bee came and then sat on her nose. She was not even slightest change. She was just staying there. And then Tiffany went, and then, when it flew away from her face, Tiffany went and then, picked that bee and sent it away. But at that time, when she gave her testimony, she said that really this is really good. And then if she was saying, no, NT has a contagious blissfulness and all that thing, and I want to return, and she just, committed there, I will be back. But I haven't seen her since then. So that could be another
Yeah.
reason, because if she doesn't want to come back, because it's all this dream. She's already woke up or wake up from the dream and
Mm.
don't want to. You got it? That's a good question. A good way to put it, Stephanie. Grace, I'll get back to your thing if you wanted to get more. So in the sense that really when you think about that, waking up from the dream, as we were talking about, you would have grasped that everything is just dreams, right? So you are really walking on this true dream, like a elusive dream, in the sense that really, okay, you can. It's a video game. It's actually this virtual reality here. It's not the virtual reality you've seen on the VR device, but this is the virtual reality. That because of your cognitive field, or you do really see it that way, and then you feel that way. I think the Alex might add a little bit more to that to help Grace. Alex, do you want to add something?
Yeah, so as kind of as what I have really noticed is that a lot of what I've kind of perceived as the world for so long after I had this experience was very much changed. It was really as though a filter had been lifted off of my eyes. And it is it's definitely something that after having that experience, recently it's been like what I've kind of noticed is that the more I pull my attention into trying to do other tasks and things that I really have to do. Like I'm in school, I have finals this week. So I've been very busy making note sheets and studying and all of those kinds of things. I've noticed that it's something where it tends to pull me a little bit away from that full that full kind of lucid dream feeling, even though I'll be looking at my paper and it does feel like I'm still looking at it through a new set of eyes, where it's like I'm looking at my hands as though I'm behind my eyes and I'm just looking out a window at everything in front of me. I found that if I'm just not doing really anything, if I'm just sitting here, or if I'm out in public and I'm sitting on the light rail, or if I'm walking around, there's such a sense of clarity, and the thoughts will go away and there's no grasping for anything. There's nothing that I have to do, but it's where if I have to do something, I've noticed that there's been a little bit of a difference. Almost like it really does seem like the 10 fetters tend to creep back in the more things that I pile on top. Like, oh, I have I have an assignment due or something like that. Well, I'm feeling all of this restlessness trying to get this thing done, or I'm not sleeping as much, or I'm craving for a better grade, or any of these kind of things that don't really matter. And then the second that I'm able to take a little step back, that's when I really begin to like I can almost get back into that state immediately where I'll, like right now, for example, I'm just sitting in a chair looking around my apartment, and it seems I've lived here for 3 years, and it seems so much different than how it used to seem. Very much
Correct.
as, like I've said, it's as though there's a new, as though the filter of what things were before has been lifted off of my eyes.
Correct. Very good. And then it's like what Alex was saying that it, like you would have felt like you are wearing your sunglasses, right? And as soon as you get the sunglasses off, you see a different clear picture. Similarly, that's what Alex was saying, and that is the experience that really we were talking about. That like a dream in the sense. So in fact, actually, then I gave that. Example earlier that really you have been in a very deep stream and then somebody came and you know poke you a little bit wake up and then again you are so into the dream you just goes back and then still enjoying the dream, right? That little trigger that somebody poke you in the sense that you wake up for a fraction of a second and then you realize that you are dreaming and then sometimes you will be taken back as well, like that's what Stephanie was talking about, and then you are still enjoying the dream but actually in the back of your thing you know that really it is a dream, and then in up and down sometimes you can just say, oh, I'm dreaming here, I'm dreaming here, right? It's really a nuisance but still you're dreaming. That kind of that the feeling, that kind of surge coming through behind you is the that surge that you are coming, you are really surfacing, that all the time you were saying that really, I have a strong feeling about this present moment. That's the same thing. That's then you are in the dream, but you are still have the strong feeling that really there should be something out of this. I am dreaming sometimes, and then I'm dreaming here. So that is the same thing, but you don't see that as extensively or that intensively, like Alex was explaining, as I see, and then sometimes the Stephanie was explaining. But it is there. That's where that really you are trying to understand it and comprehend it, and then all these questions you have. So I wanted to give the final answer to that because I was just building up all these things before I give the final answer, final perspective of this whole dream. Because the all this time I was talking about this even yogic traditions and then most of the Hindu traditions and other things like that person who was talking about that nirvajika samadhi and all that kind of thing. They are referring to that kind of a ocean that really the people are going into that ocean and everybody's one and then supposing it might come and all that because the one Buddha discovered was even people who was in that ocean they will come back again with a different form. Now think about that the other part that Grace you are thinking about the me and then again now supposing Grace is been in that water, but as I said now we can't trace that the water which is really relate to Grace because it's in the water, but that water can make another person. Another drop of water can come out and it could be part of you, part of the other people, and it maybe that's it. I'm just giving a little indication. Don't even hang on to those thoughts because those are confusing for your mind and everything. I'm just giving to give the last point. So those
No,
things
that makes
again
a
like
lot of sense.
make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Sorry, go on.
yeah. Yeah, so that is what it is, and then that is why you don't want to that your thoughts saying that really okay. So many people are coming up to here now. When you go to the non-self experience, that non-self experience is not that water, not that ocean. That ocean was that kind of experience has been there before even Buddha's discovered. Actual non-self experience is even beyond that water.
The water is a dream too.
Exactly, that ocean is
Mm.
dream too. So that nobody, I mean, very, very few people would realize that. That's not even when Buddha realized it. Buddha was thinking, to whom I'm going to tell this? Nobody will believe me, right? And then he was
Mm.
thinking, oh, he gave up the idea. He was just thinking, nobody won't believe it. But finally he realized, no, I got it. Why not others? Well, others also can get it. And then he went out and then started giving the message or the giving his discovery to others. And see now what we all are talking about it after 2,600 years. It doesn't mean that I'm giving any credit to him. I mean, that is the nature. He never wanted any credit either. He said that really you guys can't even uh, create a statue. Like, we have a lot of nice statues around there, his statues, but he said none of that will give the justice for what I'm talking about. I'm talking about is none of those. But some people really need some kind of, hanging on to some things and then worship and clinging on to those and then think that really somebody might help them. So those are the mind created things. So it's there. It's okay. It's we don't want to
Mm.
go against them. It's nothing to go against anything. We are just finding our inner essence. That's all. When it comes to that, you are free, and then you can be happy. Even the plane went down to the Pacific Sea Ocean. Doesn't matter. Right? Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
See. That is the freedom, right? Yes, that is the freedom. Not that really any of those concept of whether I'm going to reborn again or whether I will be, this one or that one. Those are not freedom. Those are actually still you are really hanging on to that. Some people want to be enlightened. That also a dream. That because they are hanging on to enlightenment. No, all that is real mind-made targets and mind-made chaos. Even it looks like a happy stage, like being in a kingdom or in the palace. That's still a dream. That's how I see it. Okay, Stephanie, you want to say something?
The more you talk, the more questions I have. I have so many questions.
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
um,
Yeah,
are all of the 10 fetters gone for you?
uh, very good question. Yes, if I say so. It
So
is
that means
because
this is your last life.
one time, yeah, one time I wanted to uh, make because I could see that really I can see that be out of your body, and I can see that really there are few people in very recent past. There was one person called Deepama. She could actually pass through a wall without any problem. So those are the kind of thing that really none that I was talking about, that formless jhana and all that thing. I can see what is going on there. So sometime I was more passionate about it, but I thought, why should I? And then I let it go. And of course, I think I was able to explain or articulate very clearly on this dependent origination on that book. And even right now, when I'm talking to people, I saw that really some people have been going through a long, but they can't even see this what I've been seeing, what I'm explaining. So that is where I see that really even when you asked that question, I said yes because of your perception is me as NT, but NT never gone through all any of those things. NT is not
Mhm.
this. The person what you are hearing is from not is not created by NT. It's coming from that spaciousness I'm talking about. So that is that place where that really I don't have 10 fetters. I
Yeah.
no. Are you with me?
Yeah. So, knowing what we know now, why don't we all become monks to speed up the process?
That doesn't give you any speeding up. Very good
Oh,
question.
okay.
Very good question. Think about the monks who are wearing robes. Different way of getting it, and then of course it it has been the case. And I'm not saying every monk is like that. There are some monks like Tibetan kind of a monks like they have been in the austerity, and then that Ajahn Chah, they have been in the austerity and got you three. But my mission, in fact, actually from my childhood, is to prove to people that really you don't have to be a monk to get this. Because what you are getting is actually it is within you, not in your outside physical form. So it doesn't matter whether you are wearing a robe or whether you are wearing a shirt or anything, or if you are not wearing anything. Because some people in India, they don't wear anything. It doesn't mean that really your mind is always connected. The mind is there always, whether you are in the jungle or whether you are in there. But in fact, if you drop your mind or if you step out of your mind, you don't have to be a monk. There are no speeding there. To speed up, what you need is what you are doing right now. To be with that eightfold path, embrace that eightfold path. Doesn't matter what you are coming from outside, your children's and everybody's, you can respond to them. You are responding to them, but you don't have to be a monk for that. You got the answer. You don't have
Yeah,
to be a
another
monk.
question that just came to my mind is so monks, as far as I know, they don't engage in romantic relationships, for example, right? Would you say it it would be wise for us all to stop engaging in romantic relationships because it feeds attachment, which would be counterproductive?
Yeah, very, very good question. Now, here's the answer. If you wanted to detach from that, that means you wanted. That means you are self-wanted. So that's not the answer. You are just away from the self. So if you're trying to, that is why I said that really actually on the sense of here, even Buddhist traditions, there are different precepts in the sense disciplines. The five precepts, 10 precepts, eight precepts, and then even monks has 227 rules. Those are precepts, they call the rules. So you shouldn't be do this, you shouldn't be do that, you shouldn't be do that. All those things are for people to discipline themselves, to me, to discipline themselves to be a human, general human. But none of those things are the answer. It has to come from your intuition, your innate uh, longing to be away from those things. So you don't have to make sure that you have to syllabus or you have to be this and that. That means that you're forcing it. You're trying to do that. But once you get into the experience and when you are going through this experience, you will may not have that craving anymore. Like Alex was saying that really, and I can remember even Gavin was saying that really when I open the fridge, I don't need to. All these days, I was just going for the grabbing the ice cream and shoveling everything into my mouth, but not anymore. I am really taking a little sip and then that's it. Are you with me? All the rules
Yeah.
are really trying to bound you. Got it?
So you're saying don't worry about it, it'll naturally fall away.
Exactly, it will come to you because if you are intelligent, well, your inner essence is that pure. Those things are just a peripheral thing. You don't need to go there. Alex used to tell about this, right, Alex? Once in a way, I mean, you.
Yeah, so one of the things that I had actually practiced quite a lot prior to having this experience and prior to changing some of my own meditative practices is that kind of the way that I had begun to understand things was that hold it, but this was a little bit before I had started really regularly coming to the Thursday meditation, but it was something that I had kind of come to because of reading various Buddhist books and various other books, stuff from Alan Watts or Ram Dass or whoever it is, Thich Nhat Hanh, any of these people, where it began to dawn on me that to really understand and to really go beyond, is it something that you have to let go of everything. That includes people, that includes desires for foods or whatever it is. But the only way to truly pass into whatever, call it enlightenment or just call it this next stage, what have you, is it something where it seemed to me that you have to let go of the grasping for other people, especially because eventually everybody will die, and there's nothing that you can do to stop that. And when you seem to let go of grasping and trying to hold on to other people and just accepting that, and it's not like you're really pushing someone away, but it's just the acceptance and the letting go of everyone. It seems to have a when I had that kind of a realization and really was able to get to that kind of way of thinking, was a very, very profound feeling where I don't hang that I'm 100% there by any means, but it is something that I have, for the most part, let go of the attachment towards craving and desire for, regardless really who it is, whether it be family or friends or anyone. As soon as I began to have this sense of, oh, this is a attachment to this world that is a craving and a desire to be with these people, and anything that comes along with that. Like when someone passes away, you crave and long for the times that you spent with them. You desire time with them that you'll never be able to have. But when you let go of the craving to have those things back or have things that may have been but will never be kind of thing, when you let go of that, it's a very profound feeling to have.
Very good. And the word that really Alex used as let go seems like actually you need to do something, right? But actually that's not what he meant. I know that's what he meant was that at least it is like, the your smartphone is now really dying down, or the battery is dying down. It's actually that craving is no longer that high or that strong anymore. It's just fading away. And this is the craving or that aversion and those kind of fetters that we are talking about. When they were really going down, your real energy, your true self is boosting up, and you have energy to do any of those. To share that with you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm doing here as well. Do you agree, Alex?
Yeah, and it's exactly like what you said. It's not like you're necessarily trying to let go of something itself. Like for the phone example, it's not like if my phone is dying, it's not like I have to necessarily do something for the phone battery to continue to die and eventually fade away. It will just happen without me doing anything. But it's the grasping and the desire to add more power to it that will get you to plug the charger back in rather than simply just allowing it to
to happen.
fade away.
To happen. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
the Stephanie, on your case, of course, you would have been really going through that kind of experience after your that 2 weeks of marvelous experience, and then you may have been, realizing that all this, the craving or the urges, and then they are just dying down. But for some reason, since you haven't gone through that, been embraced that eightfold path, you went and plugged in your smartphone, and then it's recharged. So that's why you are going through all that, but it doesn't matter. Now you plug it off because you realize that it's too much charge, and then you are just allowing that to go away a little by little, and then die away. Does that make sense, Stephanie?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Exactly. That's what the whole, this existence is all about, and that is what our inner science. That is why I really name that as an inner science, because we have to understand our inner science. So then we can just allow that all this the chaos happening inside goes away. How about you, Grace? Cleared some of your
Yeah,
questions?
that makes a lot of sense. No, no.
Vicky?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a lot of insight. Thank you.
Oh, very good. We can continue this on the next time because I think we